Beards and Flicks, baby.
Beards and Flicks bonus features.
Okay, guys, so this week we have a little bit of a gap on our normal podcast releases. And so we're going to talk about kind of our vision for the podcast and what we see happening over the next several episodes.
Yeah. Our initial plan was since I live in Dallas, for me to come down, make a commitment to come down every 2 weeks. And when I'm in town, we'll record 2 or possibly even 3, depending on how much free time we have.
How much bandwidth we have in our brains.
Also that too. And we want to release an episode every Wednesday to keep with consistent flow, so that you guys don't have a gap where you want to hear us and can't. If you guys can subscribe and get those notifications turned on, it'll help us so we don't have to focus so much time on self-advertisement. Obviously, we still will, but it'll be a reminder for you guys to where we're not just blowing up, you guys' feeds with posts from Brad and posts from myself. But we're still going to do it anyway because we're trying to get this thing.
Because it's fun and it's exciting.
It's a blast.
Yeah.
We just really enjoy giving you guys content on movies that we love. We talk about this often. Like this is a passion project for us, and it's because film is our passion, and we want to share some of that joy with you guys. Hopefully, turn you guys onto some movies you haven't seen, or make you look at these movies you have seen in a different way.
Yeah, like say there's a movie that released a long time ago when you were a kid and you never watched it, and you hear us talking about it. Maybe it's made it exciting for you, and you want to return to that movie or watch it for the first time.
Yeah, and Brad's mentioned before, and I'm going to start saying this to more is, you guys throw out your suggestions for movies you want us to watch and cover. For as many movies as Brad and I have seen, there's a ton we haven't, and there's just a lot that's going to slip through the cracks, right?
Yeah.
So you can make those suggestions, and we'll talk about them. And
you can email beardsandflickspodcast@gmail.com, and we'll get that email, and we will see where to go from there.
And my sister, she continues to text me.
That's awesome.
And so you guys got to cover this. You guys got to cover this.
Yeah.
And we're gonna end up with this like Netflix list queue of movies people were gonna ask us to cover. Yeah.
Cool.
And
I have a list that we're going through already.
Yeah.
That we're gonna cover. And every episode we reference a movie that we want to talk about.
Right.
In a future episode. Much like like Deadpool. We're gonna talk about Deadpool one day. Like Goonies. We're gonna talk about Goonies one day.
Yeah.
The movies that are big to us.
We both have I guess what you would call our rewatchables list, our personal favorites, and so we'll definitely cover those, and we'll cover everything else in between, that cinematic umbrella.
Yeah.
We'll always try to update you guys on any entertainment industry news that comes. Just the other day, you texted me, Brad, about No Time to Die.
No Time to Die keeps getting pushed back. It's not gonna release until April of 2021. Right now, we don't even know what that looks like. There's a bunch of Disney canceled 10 or so of their releases.
Yeah.
Which only leaves a few left for this year, which I don't even know what they are.
So we're not going to get anything in the theaters new.
Yeah. I don't think so, man. Wonder Woman, maybe.
Well, no. I thought you said Wonder Woman got pushed back too.
Well, until Christmas.
Yeah.
But okay. I expect them to postpone Wonder Woman also.
Yeah.
Tenet wasn't a good guinea pig.
Not at all.
Great movie.
Yeah.
But I hated that they used it as a guinea pig release for seeing what would happen for COVID outbreak or whatever.
But see, I think if they had chosen a smaller film, maybe it wouldn't have gotten the draw anyway. Not. So they thought, let's just put out a big movie that's been anticipated for over a year and see what we get. Yeah. But for that movie to be the test subject, I think that was an unwise choice.
Yeah.
We've only been doing this. We just recorded our 3rd episode as far as movie reviews, overall 4. Yeah. And we already have a list of names between the two of us for people who want to come on.
People have approached us and said they want to come on. We have ideas of people that are, in our everyday lives that we value their opinion and we want to talk to them about movies.
And I'll be honest, I'm surprised at the number of people we already have wanting to come on. I thought we maybe grow this fan base a little bit, but I think maybe having guests on will be a part of that because they'll have people they can reach out to and spread the word, which will just help grow our brand as well.
Right.
So I'm excited to have these guests on, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, it's going to change the format completely.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to figure out how to mic it and do all that kind of stuff, but we will get there and we'll figure it out. Right now we're using a brand new type of way to record. Hopefully it sounds better. I don't know yet, but hopefully it sounds better. And we're just always trying to up our game and give you guys the best quality podcast we can give you.
Absolutely. So my sister and I were talking about this a couple of days ago. You know, I have a 13-year-old niece, my sister's daughter. And it's funny because last night my brother-in-law texted me and my niece texted me separately. And it was a screen of their TV screen with our logo.
Oh, that's cool.
And they said family night.
Oh, and they're listening to the podcast.
Yeah, so they were watching cool. our last podcast, which was Terminator Salvation. Yeah. And
cool.
my sister texted me after the fact, and she said, hey, I didn't know if, I should let my niece watch Die Hard with a Vengeance.
Oh, okay.
And I said, you know what, I kind of wondered about that.
Sure.
But I told her that, we're really respectful of our listeners because we're going to have listeners that come from all different backgrounds.
Right.
And we don't want to be disrespectful by just throwing out all this language that's in some of these films.
Yeah.
And talking about some of the content. It's going to happen to some degree, but we don't have to be as vulgar as John McClane is, in that movie. Sure. And we did that really well.
We didn't even talk about his catchphrase in that
at all.
In that podcast.
Yeah.
Which would, if you're familiar with the Die Hard franchise, you know what catchphrase.
There's a catchphrase, yeah. And when we started doing this, one of the people I thought about was my niece.
Cool.
How I think it would be cool for her to hear this.
Yeah.
That you can do something outside the box.
Yeah. I explained to my son this weekend. I got to see my son this weekend for the first time in a long time, and I explained to him that I started a podcast. And I was like, "Do you know what a podcast is?" He was like, And I explained to him that like Daddy's doing this, and it's important to him. And like today when I left him, he was like, "What are you about to go do?" He's like, "You can go take a nap." And I said, "No, I'm gonna go actually go into the office and record a couple of podcasts." He's like, "Oh, is that fun?" I said, "Yes, it is.
It's a lot of fun."
He goes, "It's not work." I was like, "Well, it's kind of both, but it's more on the fun side."
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is one of those things that since we started, it's been a month and a half.
It's been.
Every time we get together, I end up somehow saying that phrase, which triggers Brad into that song.
It's either that or it's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah. And so throughout the week, or just weekends that I don't come here to record, I was just telling Brad, I think about the podcast obsessively now, to the point where, so this past week, I haven't really slept that well. One night, I was up around 3 or 4 in the morning. Just, my mind was racing. And I actually was having a podcast episode in my head. I was voicing both of us, but it was in my head, so I'm not gonna give you your voice. It was all, just in my brain.
I really want to know what I sound like from your mouth.
See, that sounds weird.
That was a weird statement.
And second of all, I couldn't do your voice because, like I told you off mic, I don't have enough bass in my voice. And when I listen to the podcast that we recorded, because we do that, your voice sounds way deeper recorded.
Yeah, man, my speaking voice is really deep. In fact, in the mornings when I first wake up, it's even deeper.
That's like your sexy voice in the morning, though. You get up, you gotta get that groveling voice. Yeah. So when I ever call a girl, I call a girl as soon as I wake up.
Yeah, I'm always alone in the morning, so I guess I don't know what sexy sounds like.
I call my mom, so maybe I shouldn't. But yeah, so I want to make content that my 13-year-old niece is allowed to listen to.
Yeah, and my son too.
Yeah, my
9-year-old son.
Yeah, so we're not just thinking of ourselves when we're doing this. We're doing this for you guys as well.
Yeah.
And I told my sister, I said I would let her know in advance if there was ever an episode we cover where I felt like maybe there's something in there that she shouldn't hear. Yeah. But I think it's cool that they're sending me screenshots saying family night.
Yeah.
It kind of ties back to what you said earlier in one of our earlier podcasts about how you and your family would rent a movie and have family night and watch a movie.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of like, we're starting a legacy of our own. You've got your son, I've got my niece, and my sister and her family.
Yeah.
They're watching this as a family, and listening as a family.
Reviewing movies and talking about how we love them and why we love them. And I mean, this is what we talk about anyway, so why not record it?
Right. If you like what you guys are hearing, continue to like it, continue to follow us, continue to share with your coworkers, family, your friends, so that you can, help us to grow our network.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll continue to do our part on our end.
And it's cool how Podbean tells me like where our listeners are listening from. We have a bunch in Texas.
I didn't even know that it did that.
We have 3. We have 3 in Virginia.
Really?
We have 1 in Louisiana.
Hey.
And we have 2 in unknown.
Really?
Podbean doesn't know where they're listening from. So maybe there's a part of the United States that's been undiscovered. I don't know, but I kind of doubt it. So we appreciate all the listeners wherever you're listening from and however you're listening.
Absolutely. Oh, I guess I'll go ahead and throw this out, and it's something I've been thinking about the last couple of days. just I guess where my head is at and where it's been since we started doing podcasts. There's another one.
Where's your head at?
There it is. You will never hear Mike try and sing. That's just not.
I'm not trying.
forte.
I'm just singing.
Yeah, see, Brad, you just go for it. See, Brad's obviously the performer, and
Well-
I think that shows in the audio.
I suffer from what my friends call Bradfidence.
Yeah,
When I think I can do something and I just do it, and it's not great, but it's done.
It's done.
I did it.
yeah. So Bradfidence is obviously a level above confidence.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
if
wow.
if you're not doing it with Bradfidence, that's like an ad. If you're not doing it with Bradfidence, you're not doing it at all.
Battery sold separately.
Very sold separately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess this is it's kind of a serious subject. But
sorry.
before we started actually recording, maybe like a month before that, I had been going through some really tough times mentally, emotionally. A part of it was just dealing with the systemic racism and the climate that we've been in with that.
And unemployment.
And unemployment, yeah, I was unemployed. I got laid off my job at the time in December. Didn't get a job until May. I'd really been going through a tough time, suffering from anxiety and depression in a real way for the first time, and wasn't handling it the best. And I was going through that phase where you're going through some real world issues, and your way of reaching out is by making cynical jokes or dropping breadcrumbs here and there.
Yeah, or sarcastic.
Or sarcastically, yeah. And so one night I came to a family dinner, which is something that Brad and his close friends and his brother attend together. You want to talk about, I guess, family for a second, just how that kind of came together? Just briefly overview.
Family, well, I was invited a year ago to a friend's house for dinner. And since then, he had gone through a divorce. Some other friends going through some stuff. We all just get together. It includes some very close friends, my brother and his wife, and all of our kids whenever Remy's in town. And
you guys are like a ragtag group.
Yeah, it's kind of like a misfits group.
Yeah.
We all confide in each other and believe in each other and support each other. And Mike comes when he can, and it's great when he comes. And then,
you guys have every Thursday. You guys have family
every
dinner.
Thursday, yeah.
And each one person takes a week where they cook or bring a dish.
Yeah,
or
like
something.
it was my turn a couple of weeks ago, and I just went to Roost and got a whole bunch of chicken salad, and we had one of the other guys brought the Hawaiian rolls, and we just made little chicken salad sandwiches.
Nice.
And it's BYOB, and
Yeah.
I usually bring some bourbon and just sit there, and we have a. We have a bug assault gun where we literally sit on our friend's back porch and we shoot the flies that fly around us, and we drink and we talk.
Wow.
and it's just a good old time.
It's a good time.
Yeah.
It's one of those gatherings that I hate that I miss because I'm in Dallas.
Yeah.
And it's on Thursdays. There's been a few times where I'd come into town early, and so I could attend one.
Oh, that's cool.
And I've had a blast. Sometimes I'll just sit there and listen to everyone else.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, this is like, I can't help but smile.
Of course.
Because you can just feel the love, not to sound corny. You can feel the love in this group of people.
And we absolutely include you, and we are
Always. You guys are always invited.
non-judgmental.
Never have
and
been.
Open-minded, and we love having you.
Most of the people that are at this gathering, aside from you, I only met a year ago.
Right.
And from the beginning, they were just like, okay, well, if you're cool with Brad, you're in, you're a part of this group.
Right.
And just have always invited me to stuff. So that's been really helpful to have, almost like a second family to come home to, as well as my birth parents.
Actual family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was dealing with this difficult time, and I'm at one of these family dinners. And one of the guys that's there, I guess in passing, he's like, "Hey man, what's up?" And I haven't seen you in a while. How's it been? I was like, "Oh, everything's good. I tried to kill myself, but it's all good." Like jokingly, just really like
one of those sarcastic.
Yeah, it's like I'm reaching out, but I'm trying to play it off like it's just a joke.
It's a passive way to say what's
it's a passive aggressive approach at realizing you have an issue.
Right.
And the thing is, I didn't try to kill myself, but it was a way to say, hey, there is something deeply rooted that's going on wrong with me. And I remember his response, thinking about it now, where he said, wow, that's kind of dark, but just, he kept it moving, and I brushed it off. He brushed it off. And that was Thursday.
But then he told me.
And Saturday, because we had plans to hang out, you and I.
Yeah.
So we're hanging out, just listening to the Real Friends Fake Doctors podcast.
Oh yeah.
And then we kind of take a break, and somehow what I said at family dinner comes up.
We gotta say that it was after several bourbons.
And this is 1 a.m, too, by the way. After a couple of bourbons.
Maybe even later than that.
Yeah, because that was
some crazy stuff was happening in my neighborhood.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Like somebody called the cops or whatever, and there was an ambulance over there. We went outside for a second.
Saturday night.
Saw some of my neighbors. Yeah, crazy Saturday night talk. And we went back inside, and like things got real.
It was like a shift change walking back in.
As things do with you and I, things get real. And
we talk about some serious stuff over drinks, I noticed.
Okay, this is conversation topics for me. I love like being quippy, being funny, being goofy, right?
Right.
But what I absolutely yearn for is deep conversation.
Same.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's just where I wanted to take the conversation.
Right.
Because we'd already been goofy and quippy and whatever, listening to a podcast, drinking, and then we just decided to talk about something that was happening to you.
Yeah, because you said, so the person I made the off-the-cuff remark to at family dinner that Thursday is your neighbor.
Yeah.
And you saw him earlier that Saturday.
My landlord.
Your landlord, yeah. And
he came over to fix the shower.
Yeah, and you were like, "What are you doing tonight?" And you said, or he asked you what you're doing tonight.
Hey, are you hanging? Or what are y'all getting into tonight? That's what is something he frequently says. What are you guys getting into tonight?
Yeah.
And I was like, me and Mike are just gonna hang out and come over here and hang out at the apartment. And he goes, "Oh man, is Mike okay?" And I was like, "I think so." I think he's kind of depressed. He's kind of going through some stuff right now. And because obviously we're close enough to where I know what's going on in his life. And he goes, "Well, he kind of told me he wanted to kill himself." And I was like, "He did what now?" 2 days after he had said it, I didn't know it had gotten that deep.
Right. Yeah.
And I have dealt with depression in the past. I've dealt with suicide in the past within myself, and so I completely and quickly understood.
Yeah.
What needed to be done.
Yeah. It was
So we talked about it.
It caught me off guard because I didn't know we were going to go there. But it ended up being one of those conversations that needed to happen, because I think this to this day. If we didn't have that conversation, I don't know if I make it through 2020. Honestly, that's just God's honest truth. Because I had just gotten to that dark. And the funny thing is, before we had that conversation, like a month before, I was kind of opening up to my sister about the stuff I was dealing with, and she says, "Well, I know what it's like to go through some of these things," just like you were telling me that night. Right. And she asked a specific question: "Have you thought about killing yourself?" And I told her no.
Yeah.
And it was like a half truth, half lie kind of thing. Yeah. It was something I had thought about, but never actually acted on. Obviously, I'm still here.
Yeah.
But you and I talked about this, and we both ended up in tears over this.
Absolutely. And I have a deep love for you.
Same. It goes both ways.
It's culminated over the 10-year relationship we've had. And that love got even deeper because you're talking to me about something that I dealt with as a sophomore in high school.
Right.
And that I had a plan to kill myself.
Right.
And it was because of the trusted adults I had in my life that were able to pull me out of that dark place.
Yeah.
And even my story goes a little bit longer with and deeper with what happened after that. Like, that's what got me into comedy and wanting to pursue making people laugh.
Right.
Because if I can make you forget about what you're dealing with, even if for a few seconds, I'm going to want to do that.
Yep.
So I'm going to make you I'm going to do my best to make you laugh.
Absolutely.
And I've just garnered that ability and garnered that talent. And, and so like, I love that I can make you laugh, Mike. I love
100%.
I can get together with you and cheer you up for a minute.
It's so I guess I kind of went on this extended rant about what I've been going through to say to the listeners, and obviously to Brad. I don't think I've actually expressed it to you. I don't have those thoughts anymore. Ever since that night, like my whole perspective has changed.
That's awesome.
And then we got to doing this podcast. It's been therapeutic.
It's been
again.
I have to do it.
It's therapy for me to get and to use our platform and just kind of vent a little bit and release, especially now that I'm in a better place than I was 2 months ago. Obviously, there's still issues that I need to deal with.
Right.
But I'm nowhere in that dark place like I was before. And like you just said, how, if you can make someone laugh even for a second, it can get someone's mind off of what they're going through,
Sure.
real life issues. Movies have always been like that for me.
Exactly.
And I think it's one of the things that kind of tethers me to just cinema as a whole it's that escapism, from real life.
Yeah.
And now doing this, which is something that is, it's a creative outlet for both of us, something we've been wanting to do for years. We finally got to do it. We see it come to fruition. It just continues to tell me that things will be okay. You can work through things.
Yeah.
I don't have to feel like I'm never going to do anything creative anymore because we're sitting here doing it now.
Yeah, we're doing it.
And it's like now for me, I feel like the sky is the limit. I feel like I couldn't have gotten any lower than I was.
Yeah.
So there's only one place I can go, which is up. And I want to say, I appreciate you, Brad, for having that conversation and taking it there because it was needed. And it was just one of those things where I feel like it was like a divine intervention type thing where I didn't see it going there. And from the bottom of my heart, I love you as my friend, man. as my white brother, man. You know what I mean? To care enough about me, to hear this person say that to you about me and not ignore it and not dismiss it. Because if you had, I can't even imagine if I acted on it and you had that knowledge and didn't say anything, what that would do to you.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate you taking that time out. And shout out to the guy that brought it up to you because if he hadn't, we wouldn't have had the conversation.
I wouldn't have known, yeah. And we can't talk about this without saying, like, if you are experiencing anything like this
absolutely.
that we're talking about, please talk to somebody. If it's a letter you're writing down, if it's an email you're going to send, a voice recording, a chat with a friend over bourbons like our night.
Yeah.
And
find somebody you feel completely open and comfortable with.
And if you can't find that person, then let us be that person. Like, email us beersandflickspodcast@gmail.com. We will point you in the right direction.
And if any of you guys are listening that I'm friends with, you've got my number. So if you're going through something, you can definitely reach out to me.
Yeah. I have successfully talked down several people in my life from suicide.
Yeah.
And I believe I'm not necessarily skilled in that. I guess I'm naturally skilled in it. I don't have the education.
Right.
I have gone through some courses from a previous job that I took that did give me some tools and some how to notice some signs.
Yeah.
But obviously that failed me in one of my best friends, and so I didn't know what was going on.
I'm going to cut you off, and I don't think that failed you in that regard because it got to a point where whenever I would come to visit over the last, say, a year, the first thing you would say to me is, how have you been?
Yeah. You
always checked in, though.
Yeah.
So I can't say that that's inaccurate for you to say that failed you because you would always check in with me when you see me. You would text me, hey, man, just checking in. How are you? Da-da-da.
Right.
Keeping me up to date on what's going on in your life, which is kind of help too because it gets me out of my headspace and it's not all just about me.
Reality.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I can't say that. So I really appreciate how you looked out for me.
Something about me, like I can't, whenever I ask somebody, hey, how are you? Like, I mean it.
Yeah.
And I want you to be honest with me because I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Like if you ask me how am I, I'm going to tell you. Like, I'm not going to say, I'm good, how are you? Like,
exactly.
That bothers me. Like, if you can just put on that face and that smile or whatever and just give me that knee-jerk reaction. Now, I understand there's times when you don't have time to actually talk to the person.
Yeah.
And it's in passing.
Right.
But typically I'm going to be as honest as I always want to be.
And I appreciate that.
Honest.
I think everybody should have somebody like that in their life that's going to give it to you straight and not, BS you. So
cool.
I'm glad that you're that person and that we get to kind of channel some of that negative energy into creating content, you know, about things that we love. So it all just kind of come back full circle. And never think that way is the way out because it's not the way out.
It's not.
Find somebody, reach out to one of us.
It's a very selfish choice.
It is.
And it leaves behind torment and regret.
More pain than you can realize.
More pain than you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool.
So we do appreciate you guys listening. I know this was kind of something different than we normally do, but we wanted to give you guys some content in that week gap where we're not going to cover a movie, just so you guys can, continue to get to be used to hearing our voices. And just to let you guys know, this isn't just like a professional movie podcast. We're real people going through real issues, and we want you guys to, understand that. And we're just one of you guys.
Yep.
So appreciate it, guys.